Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is the first video you're seeing of mine, my name is Layla. For this video, I'm going to go through the books that I want to read this fall. So that's basically from October through December. I know fall ends at some point in December, but we're just going to say for the rest of the year, basically, next 3 months. Now, usually on this channel, I'm only posting vlogs and I talk about books within my vlogs. But I've decided I want to start, for the most part, separating book content from those, just because I've realized when I talk about books, I talk for a really long time. And not everybody who subscribed for my vlogs is into the book content, and I understand that. But I love reading. It is like one of my 500 million passions. I've also gotten really into booktubers, and I am honestly just so envious that they get to go to Barnes & Noble and buy books and film book reviews and do these like full days of readings as their job. So, you know, maybe I could get to that point. Really, this is just fun content for me to film, and I would be talking about these things anyway, so I figured I'd just make separate video. Anyways, I have quite a bit to go through because my goal for the year was to read 35 books. And as of the end of September, I hit 20. So that means I'm going to be really ambitious and try to read 15 for the rest of the year. If I don't hit that, that's fine. This is just, if I am going to read 15 books, these are probably going to be the 15 that I read through October, November, December. First up is going to be the Shadow and Bone trilogy. These books are so beautiful. Now, I will say I'm filming this a little bit into October. I've already finished Shadow and Bone, the first one. There is a Netflix show on this. I'm probably going to check it out and see if it's any good. I don't know if I would like it just because I'm usually not into shows like that or movies like that even, but we'll see. The book itself is not too bad. This is a fantasy. I am not a huge fantasy reader, but it's something that I am open to. I have bought quite a few fantasy series, including this one. I honestly didn't have high hopes for Shadow and Bone, but it wasn't so bad. I'm not going to talk about it in detail because I will give you an update for October or something. And I've started this one. So this is Siege and Storm, the second one, and then there is a third one. I'm a little bit in. This series is following a girl named Alina, and they're like in Russia, but things look quite different. There's like this, they call it the fold or the unsea, and it's basically like a split through the whole country, and there's like these, they're called Volkras, and they're like, I guess they used to be humans and they were turned into these like monsters, and if you go through the fold or through the unsea, then they'll come and like attack you and eat you, basically. So her and like a crew of people end up going through this darkness, and from that journey she realizes that she has these powers. They call her a sun summoner, and she can like generate light and sunshine, basically, and heat. And these are powers that she didn't know that she had. She actually was like an orphan. She grew up like poor, I guess you could say. And then once they see that she has these powers, they like take her, and she's now living like this life of luxury. And there's this man that she ends up basically working with and being with, and he has this big plan for her and how he's going to like save the world, or like get rid of the darkness, basically get rid of that unsea. So obviously with a fantasy book there are a lot of things that are made up, but it does have like a map, and then it also breaks down like the type of Grisha. So these are the people with various powers. So far I've had to learn about the world itself, which is like a common thing with fantasy. So yeah, I am getting through it pretty quickly though. So those three, I have already read 1.5, and then the third one. Look how, I just love the covers. They're so pretty. And then from my understanding, what comes after that is the Six of Crows. I'm planning on reading the 3 of those back to back, and then I will take a break and switch to something else before continuing, just because I feel like that's what I need. I have no clue what these are. I think this continues. It says Grishaverse, this is the same author, this is the same people, I'm pretty sure. I've heard these are really, really good. At least Crooked Kingdom I know people usually give that like 5 stars, so y'all let me know. Something I did learn, which the other day I learned this, is that the Shadow and Bone, this first one, came out in 2012. Like, wow. Over 10 years ago. That's crazy. I had no clue, obviously. Sticking with fantasy, I don't know about these. Earlier this year, I read The Cruel Prince, which is part of the Folk of Air. So The Wicked King, I guess it should be backwards, and The Queen of Nothing. I'm gonna aim to read these. This is, it took me a while to get through The Cruel Prince. I genuinely don't know why people rated it so high. I don't know if it's like, I think it is a younger audience who's giving it such high ratings, because to me it just was not that enjoyable. I stuck through it though, and honestly I remember quite a bit from it. Like, I was able, for the most part, to see what was happening. Like, I was able to envision it and make things up. This is basically like a fairy world. It's fairies, but it's also with humans, and they are like, the fairies are able to basically control the minds of humans. And in the first one, I don't want to give too much away, but in The Cruel Prince, there is this human who comes to the fairy world because she has family that are fairies. Like, her half-sister is a fairy, for example. And so she's in this world basically trying to prove herself, but the fairies are like quite mean and they have these different powers. It's kind of like a enemy to lovers type of situation, but there is like no romance by any, like no spiciness by any means. And for some reason it just took me a really, really long time to get through, so I don't know how long these will take. I love the covers. I think fantasy books just in general have the coolest covers to me. Like, I don't know, I love that. But this one feels really good too. It's like matte but soft. I'll give it a shot. I don't want to forget too much of The Cruel Prince, so yeah, if I can just like, I'll just have to push myself. What happened with The Cruel Prince is it put me into like a book funk. Like, I didn't want to read, and I don't want that to happen again, but I'm gonna make sure I like just push through it. If I really don't like it, I may consider just selling it or something, like getting rid of these. Next, I have 2 really random thrillers, really random. And the first one is a Dean Koontz book, and I've never seen a single YouTuber, like a single booktuber, any of the big ones, talk about Dean Koontz. This is probably more so for like mature audiences, people in their 40s plus. And that's just because of like the content and the timing of when things are, like, no booktubers or TikTokers are reading this, you know, so other people don't go and read it. I did not purchase this book. I actually picked it up from my apartment. There was somebody at my apartment who kept putting Dean Koontz books out, like, for free. They had like all their books laid out, and it said like free, take what you want, whatever. So I was looking up Dean Koontz and saw that his books had some pretty good reviews, and they're scary ones. So I was like, okay, I'll take. I have a few of them. This is probably going to be the only Dean Koontz book that I read from the few that I have. It's called Seize the Night. Based off of the Amazon reviews, this is one of his best books, like a real page turner. Apparently, I have no clue what it's about. It says there are no rules in the dark, no place to feel safe, no escape from the shadows, but to save the day, you must seize the night. Yeah, I don't know. When I read the reviews of this, people were like, I could not put it down, so it better live up to the hype. This cover is giving like major Matrix vibes, and I do love the way that these books feel. This is how like old romance books and just old style books feel with tiny text. I love these, but we'll see. Let me know if y'all have read that or any other Dean Koontz books. Next one is The Wife Before Me. I think I also got this from either my apartment or a little free library. Don't know what this is about, but it does say, how well do you know the man you love? And I'm pretty sure that this is a thriller. Basically, what I'm getting from this summary on the back is that this woman meets a man who recently lost his wife, but then she doesn't really know him, and she doesn't really know what actually happened to the ex-wife. So I guess we'll find out. Next few are all, there's 5 more left. These are all sad, I think. The Song of Achilles. I have seen this recommended so many times. It better be good. I've heard this is sad as well, makes people cry. I don't know. Some people do cry, some people don't. I don't know what it's about, and I'm not going to even bother to figure it out. That's how I've talked about this before. That's how I approach most books. If it's recommended by somebody, I'll give it a shot. Like, I am not too picky, and I don't need to know what it's about. I'll just go for it. The Book Thief. I think this is, yeah, Nazi Germany. So from my understanding, this is during like the Holocaust. And I've heard this is really sad. This is kind of she's a thick one. She's a thick one with tiny text. So I'll probably put this toward the end. I've heard this is a really good book, but I don't know if this is something that I will enjoy. And I hope that doesn't sound bad. It's just that if anything is too historical or I don't know, it's just not my book preference, I guess I would say. I guess I don't really know what to expect from it by any means. So begins a love affair with books and words as Liesel, with the help of her accordion-playing foster father, learns to read. Soon she is stealing books from Nazi book burnings, the mayor's wife's library, wherever there are books to be found. Next is Looking for Alaska. This is an old book. I remember hearing about this many years ago, and it's always been a book I've wanted to read. I think it's about drugs. I mean, look at the cover. Pretty positive it's about drugs, and I've heard it is sad, probably like triggering to certain people. I noticed today, I walked into a bookstore today, a used bookstore. I didn't buy anything, which I'm very proud of myself. And actually, I went in thinking like, okay, if a book that I want is less than $7, I'll buy it. I'll buy one book. But they were like $8.99, $9.99, and I thought that was kind of a lot for used books because I can usually get them for less on like used books on Amazon. We'll see. We'll give it a shot another time. But apparently this book has been banned. It's like a banned book. At the front of this used bookstore, it was like, "We welcome banned books," or something like that. And they had a whole display of banned books, and I saw this on there. So I didn't know that. The Outsiders. I've heard this is sad. It looks like a pretty quick read. Very small book and fairly large font. All I know is that it's about a group of friends. Apparently, we read this in school. My sister and my boyfriend were saying that they read this in school, and I don't remember that. I don't remember. Did y'all read this in high school or middle school? I don't know what it was, but I do not recall. So I'll read it now or I'll read it again if I've already read it. But something about a group of friends and then something goes wrong. And then finally, they both die at the end. I've seen this recommended so many times, and I think I bought this earlier this year with like my birthday gift card money. And based off of the back, what I understand it's about is that there are two people, I think it's two men, yeah, Mateo and Rufus, are told that they're going to be dying in less than 24 hours. And then apparently there's some app where you can meet people who are about to die, or I don't know, it says it's called Last Friend, and that's how they meet, and then they're living like their final day together. What's interesting is this is a pretty thick book for it to be like, if this is covering one day, I'd be interested, I'm interested to see what's in there. So maybe this goes into their past or something, because I'm assuming that there's more to it than just 24 hours of their life. This does look like a big book, but the font is pretty large. But those are the 15 books that I am hoping to read in the next couple of months from now through the end of 2023. If I don't get through them all, that is okay. I think what I'm going to do is monthly book reviews. So whatever I read in the month, I will talk about in a video. And honestly, talking about books and specifically creating content around books makes me just want to read more. Like, it makes me more excited and motivated to read about books so I can talk about them, and just so I can read more books and eventually buy more books. So I honestly think I might get through these. The fantasy ones might slow me down a little bit, just because, I don't know about y'all, but I have to read them slower so that I can, one, understand what they're talking about and like build the worlds in my brain. But also they have very different words. Like I don't know how to pronounce them or what that would even remotely sound like. So it just takes me a little bit longer. But please let me know if you have read any of these and what you thought of them, or otherwise feel free to share what your fall TBR books are. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.